already.
No, I will actually. Thank you.
Thank you for coming. Take it away.
Tasia, that was so beautiful.
That was
Oh my God,
awesome.
you should just have went on. One more.
Maybe I'll have one for you.
It's a great honor and responsibility I stand here today as Miss Canada World Universal, here carrying the voices of more than 10,000 on my shoulder. I represent those that were voiceless, the silenced voices, those that silently shed tears, those that faced unspeakable tragedies, and I stand with those voices that want to see positive changes. Today I acknowledge that pain has entered the land. We have become a community, a city, a country, and a world that is heartbroken and in mourning. Today I stand with you here during this very tragic time to offer you my strength and hope. Today the cries of the communities have become too painful. There's no words to describe it. Everyone is experiencing it in a different way. As a leader in the community, I ask every leader in the city, the province, and the world to join with us. It is time to put down our arms, to permanently pull down all walls that are separating us, and it's time to let the healing begin. It is time to heal. It is time to offer healing to one another. We may come from different cultures, speak different languages, or have immigrated from different countries. But today, we stand as one nation with one heartbeat. To those who are in pain today, we surround you with strength, love, and offer you our hand to start this healing process. During this time of pain and hardship, I admire the community's resilience to unite, to go forward, and to seek good changes. I stand with you and with all leaders who are standing to empower our city, to make it safer while empowering each and every individual. We may not all be called to do the same thing, but together we can make the difference when we stand in unity. As we move forward in healing, working in unity, treating each other as family, and having empathy for one another, we start to create one strong person at a time, which in turn will create one strong family. When we have strong families, we will have one strong community, and we will be a strong nation, more powerful than we've ever been. I applaud each and every one of you here today for the courage you have taken to ask for safety, peace, and to be accepted. Your voice has been heard, and your pain has been felt throughout the nation. For us to start the healing process, we must bring safety, justice, empathy, love, and acceptance back into the communities. To put the voices of the people first. Our direction towards healing in life is to move forward and up. As a woman, I stand here today not just for the people who are experiencing pain or who have experienced pain, but I'm standing here as a voice for the next generation. We want to hand over a land that is safe, that is prosperous, and that is fair to our children. We want to leave a good legacy for them to live in. We can start with healing one person at a time, solving one story at a time. Because when we strengthen one person, we have strengthened the family. A strong family will create the strong community and in turn creates a safe and strong city. I want to thank the countless of people that are working together for change. who have made every effort and used every resources available to them to bring in positive changes and peace to our community. I pray after this speech that I will not only impact everyone here for peace and unity, but I will impact every single person for generations to come to join us to stand in peace, safety, healing, and unity. Today I call for healing. It is time for the healing process to begin. I have spoken to the police chief on various occasions, and what he has promised me, he has fulfilled. I want to thank you for that. He has made the choice to come to the people. He has acknowledged us, and most importantly of all, he has made himself available to the public. To leaders, he is the beginning for other leaders to follow and to join. His authority limits him to certain things. But if we all can work together as one, all leaders, the lawmakers, the politicians, and the community members, together with the police, to put the people, and especially our children first, to work in unity, while learning to understand and protect each other, we will bring true justice back into our land in a noticeably short time. I would also like to acknowledge Casey Madhu, our Justice Minister, for introducing the Hate Crimes Unit this week. We thank you for listening to the people. We are a community that has overcome great tragedies and tribulations, especially in the last year. We have faced COVID, we have faced huge turndowns in our economy, we have faced pain. During that time, I saw how people shared what they had to put others first and stood up for each other. Today we are standing here not because we are weak, but because we are strong. We are survivors and we are overcomers. If we can overcome all this by working together, imagine the impact it will have if every single leader and person works together in unity today in moving forward for good solutions. What a peaceful revolution we can bring, not only to our city and to our nation, but to the world. We will be the trendsetter and become the leaders and role models to the rest of the world. Let us not be a nation, a people, or a community to be held back by our past failures, defeat, and scars. And let us use this pain to pave a new world for our children and generation to come. Let us be the ones that the future generations will be proud to say that we were revolutionaries of peace who made permanent good changes. We were the people who never gave up, and we were the people that used pain as a weapon to heal our land and get true justice. Let them be proud of us. We have the chance to make history. Let us use it today and make history by being the leaders of good change, working in unity to help heal each other. Peace is the end of war and the beginning of freedom. I ask every single leader to join us to make this possible. Now is the time. Don't let this pass. I want to thank Hazel and Tasia for allowing me this opportunity to lead the pathway to healing. May God bless you and everyone that is here. Thank you.
Thank you, Miss Canada Universal, World Universal. That is Yolene over there. As Hazelin introduced, I thank her for her speech, and EFAR thanks her for her speech. All right, so we're gonna have our next speaker come up and take us on with her speech. This is Debbie Dobbins coming up next, and then we will be following on with the rest of our speakers as well, and we will do our closing towards the end. So let's welcome Debbie Dobbins over to the stage. Thank you, Debbie.
Tasia was a baby and she could sing. Tasia was a toddler and she could really blow. Tasia now is a young lady and look amazing. amazing grace and talents you have. Thank you for sharing with us today. My name is Deborah Dobbins. I'm a third generation descendant of African American Albertan. My grandparents came in the early 1900s to help settle Alberta. I stand here before you as an ethno-cultural group member, an anti-Black racism overcomer. Regardless of what they've done to us, we have overcome and we shall continue to overcome. African American Canadian descendants and the rest of Africa diaspora Albertans need to stand in solidarity with our Indigenous brothers and sisters, our culturally and religious diverse neighbors, those who face daily physical, mental, and or emotional challenges, our LGBTQ plus colleagues, and other citizens who face discriminatory acts just because of who they are. Together, we need to seek social justice for the devastating and inconceivable actions done and still that continue to be done because of ignorance, hate, power-seeking, white supremacy type actions by those who are against equality and equity for all. It is critical to note, first and foremost, that the Indigenous people of Turtle Island are the first inhabitants here on this land. That and since Confederation, this land is now, we know it as Canada. Colonization occurred, blatant racism, discrimination, overt and covert prejudicial actions and injustices ran rampant, creating systemic, deep-rooted, hateful discrimination that was based on color and culture. This inhumane practice continued to fester, and systemic racism practices were embedded in laws, procedures, and practices across every facet of life. Over the last few years, Canada's subtly and discriminatory actions have come more uncovered and more evident in the public's eye. And now it is time to put an end to second and third class Canadian citizenship that's based primarily on skin color. Justice must occur for our buried Indigenous children. They must be identified and returned to their families as best as possible. They must not be forgotten, and history can never, ever, ever repeat its coward and shameful self. Those at fault must be held accountable. The present-day practice of inclusion is to whitewash history, intentionally ignoring the truths about historical atrocities, historical inequalities, injustices, and inhumane practices inflicted on the people who helped build colonized Alberta and the rest of Canada. His and her story needs to be told in truth by those who are that history. Alberta citizens need to stand united on this front and insist lived, experienced experts need to be at the table leading of the writing, for instance, of the writing of the social studies curriculum, as well as other applicable portions of the Alberta education curriculum, to ensure that our children learn truths and to ensure that our teachers are equipped to teach the truth with appropriate and authentic resources. Let us demand that happens. Yes. Anti-Black racism has been a part of Alberta since its beginnings. The government tried and almost succeeded to keep the Blacks from immigrating from the United States, even though back in the early 1900s, 1906, 05, 06, advertisements were made worldwide to come here to the prairies and homestead. And they did not include in that advertisement only whites could apply. The Canadian government had put out a plea for settlers to come to Western Canada and to help develop the newly formed prairie provinces. The offer was made, if you all don't know, but there was an offer made for a $10 registration fee that one could get 160 acres of land, providing specific requirements. And those requirements had to be met. The first wave of blacks came to the prairie provinces from 1907 to 1914. When they tried to cross the border, they were not what the government expected. They did meet all the requirements though, so begrudgingly they had to let us in. Petitions were plenty with the arrival of the African Americans. A racist backlash promoted by various leaders of this government the press and the business community began. The KKK was here for several years. It raised its ugly head in Alberta in the early 1920s, and rampant discrimination, prejudice, and marginalization occurred for many, many years. Strong immigration restrictions were in place until the 1960s, when they opened up the border for the people of the Caribbean descent, and then in the 70s more so for the people of Africa diaspora. The education curriculum, which I am a retired teacher of 30-something years with Edmonton Public Schools, and have yet to see the intentional inclusion of Black history, Alberta Black history, in the curriculum. So the education curriculum must be inclusive, representing all students who are mandated to complete the Alberta schooling requirements. Racism still exists and is evident in today's news, tweets, and other media sources. Racism, hate, prejudice, discrimination, solely based on race, gender, sexual orientation, physical and or mental capacity must be erased from our city, from our province, and from our country's practices and policies. Let us tolerate them no longer. We are all a part of this place we call home, and equity must reign in all facets of life, institutions, in housing, and someone has already mentioned all of this, but I'm going to say it again. Equity must reign in all facets of life and institutions, in housing, education, medical practices, recreation, work, and career opportunities, and anything else that I've left out. Now is the time to unite, as our sister has said. Let's unite in peace. Let's work together to defeat and eliminate inequality and create a welcoming and inclusive living, working, and playing environment for all Edmontonians, all Albertans, and all Canadians. There was a song that was playing on the way here, and it was "Greater things are yet to come, and greater things are still to be done," and I'm adding, "and many more battles to be won here in this province, this country that we call home." Thank you for letting me share this evening.
Thank you.
Woo! Alrighty. We thank you, Debbie Dobbins, for your wonderful speech as well. Those were some beautiful words. I heard a lot of teachings in that. Hopefully everybody